Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. My name is Amy with 2 E's, and I'm the CEO and founder of Irresistible University. Through my podcast and courses, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. If you like this podcast, you're going to love my online course and private podcast. If you would like to learn more about it, including the investment, everything that's included, get real client testimonials, and to snag your seat to sign up and enroll, please head over to irresistibleicing.com/course. That link is also in the show notes. Welcome back to episode 244 of the Irresistible You podcast. In today's episode, I am asking you the question, what is your almost weight? When I say to you, what is your almost weight? What comes to mind? Well, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what that means and how we play games with ourselves subconsciously and we end up self-sabotaging our weight loss journeys and we get stuck at our almost weight. All right, so you may not have ever heard someone call it that, but I know you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say, what is your almost weight? So your almost weight is a weight that you can recall. And I'm talking about, girl, you can recall this weight down to the ounce. So it is like seared into your memory. So for example, you're like, my almost weight is 205.7. Like, you know how to recall that weight again, down to the ounces, right? Because that weight has been seared into your brain for whatever reason. We all have different reasons for why. And what that weight symbolizes to you, what that number symbolizes to you is, see, this is the weight. I always get to this number and I fall off the wagon. I can't seem to break past this number, right? And so there's something going on behind the scenes that is keeping you stuck at your almost weight and then throwing you right back into the yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle. It is a vicious, vicious cycle. But that's what we're talking about. So I want you to think for a minute, and I know you can recall it. What is your almost weight? What is that number that as soon as you get there, you have like dual feelings, right? You feel excited because you are coming down the scale, you're getting closer to your goal weight. Your goal weight is not your almost weight. Your almost weight is exactly what it sounds like. It's, I'm almost there. I'm almost at my goal, whatever that looks like for you. So I know you have an almost weight and I know you have a goal weight. And when you start to get to the almost weight, you start to feel excited. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. I'm getting so close. And then there's also some type of fear or anxiety that sets in, and we don't always recognize it as fear or anxiety because it's a very conflicting feeling. Because here we are, we're on a weight loss journey. We've always struggled with our weight, and all we've ever wanted is to just lose the weight and get to our goal and ride off into the sunset, right? And because we want it so bad, we say that we want it so bad, we feel conflicted because why is it then I get so close to my goal? I get so far down the scale. I work so hard. I get all this weight off, and then all of a sudden I gain it all back. And we act like we didn't cause that. We act like we're victims. We act like, I don't know what happened. I always get to this weight. I get to the 199.6 and I just, I don't know what happens. I get to the 202.3 and every time I get here, I end up gaining the weight back because there's something going on behind the scenes that is triggering you to self-sabotage your efforts and put you right back where you started from. None of us wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I would really, really like to sabotage my weight loss efforts. I would really like to gain back the 70 pounds that I've lost. I would love to just go in and put a wrecking ball to all my success. Nobody does that. Nobody thinks that way. We don't consciously think that way. So there's something going on behind the curtain, behind the scenes that we're not aware of that we're doing. And as long as we stay asleep at the wheel and unaware, we will always come back and linger at the almost weight and never go past it. So we play these games subconsciously. We self-sabotage. So why do we do that? Why are we self-sabotaging? I want this so bad, Amy. I want it more than anything in the whole world. Why would I ruin it for myself? Why would I do that? And there's a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to go through some of the reasons, and maybe these apply to you. Maybe some of them apply to you. But hopefully you can glean something out of that to try to put your finger on, why am I doing this? Okay. And the first thing is you lack self-awareness. So when you have been running yourself ragged, like a little hamster on the wheel, right? You're this little hamster on the yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle wheel. And so you're constantly losing weight and then getting to your almost weight and then gaining back some of it, then gaining back all of it, doing the, oh my God, I can't believe this happened to me. I'll start over on Monday. I hate myself. I can't believe I look like this again. And it's just this cycle, right? Well, you are unaware. You have no self-awareness. And when you have no self-awareness, then how would you even recognize or have the skills to be able to say, wait a second, this is a pattern for me, and I'm recognizing a pattern. So first and foremost, you need to wake up. You need to wake up. You need to gain self-awareness, and you need to stop zombie walking through your life. If you're new to the podcast, you will soon realize after a few episodes that we have our own terminology over here. All of our Irresistible You Queens, we have our own terminology. And one of the phrases that I use all throughout the podcast, all throughout my course and private podcast is zombie walking. And zombie walking is pretty much what it sounds like. It is you being completely unself-aware, right? And just kind of like walking through life like a damn zombie. Like, look about The Walking Dead. They're just, they're just trying to get to the next meal. They don't care about nothing else. They are so checked out. They are so out of the zone, right? That they are just zombie walking to the next meal. And so think about your own life where you're just going through the motions. You don't like the way you look. So because you don't like the way you look, you don't feel good physically, you don't feel good mentally, you don't feel good emotionally. So you wake up in the morning and before your eyes even open, you're dreading the day. You're dreading the day. You slough yourself around, get ready for work. It's like you're walking in mud at all times. You get yourself ready for work, take the kids to school, get to work. You don't like where you work. You're not happy with your job. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but I'm just giving an example. And you come home, you're like, oh my God, we got to make dinner. You don't know what to make because you didn't plan for it. You throw something together. You end up overeating because you're tired and you're hangry. The kids are getting on your damn nerves while you're trying to cook. Next thing you know, it's 8 o'clock at night and you got to go back and do the Groundhog Day all over again. And there's no room for joy. There's no room for any hobbies. There's no room for any type of anything that makes you feel irresistible in your life. So you are just zombie walking through it. And the only thing that's bringing you any ounce of joy is the dessert that you're going to eat, that you're fantasizing about tonight, what you're going to come downstairs and annihilate when the kids go to bed. And I know you're in there hiding food from them. We all do it. We all hide our chocolates. You know what I'm saying? So that is the zombie walking. That's the state that you're in where you're not awake. You're not aware of what you're doing. And so self-awareness doesn't just come at the flip of a switch, right? Maybe listening to this podcast and this episode is the switch that starts to turn on for you. You're like, oh, and it makes you start thinking about, maybe I do this. Maybe I am like this. And then from there, you start to, we get to make decisions about what we're going to do differently. So that's one of the reasons is you have no self-awareness because you're zombie walking through life. Let me tell you, zombie walking, it comes at a price. And the price that you're paying is you're wasting your life. Because when you're zombie walking, this is how you look back and go, where the hell did the time go? I don't understand. I don't understand where my time is going, right? And so you don't want the time to keep passing you by, and you're not going to use that time wisely. And I think the time flies by fast regardless. And I would rather say, we all kind of have those moments. We're like, oh my God, where's the time going? I can't believe it's already February. I can't believe it's already summer or whatever. And I want to be able to say it did go by fast, but I know where it went. And I know that my days were full and awesome and, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, number one, you lack self-awareness. And this is probably one of the biggest reasons why you are self-sabotaging, because self-sabotage, again, is not something we're choosing on a conscious level. Okay. All right. So number two is you don't have an identity outside of losing weight. And again, as I'm saying these things, you've probably never thought of it this way because you haven't been self-aware enough to even think this way. You are addicted to the routine of starting over on Monday. You are addicted to the yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle. Even though, see, we have these conflicting things, right? Even though we say we hate being overweight, we're miserable, we want to lose weight more than anything else in the world, we want this so bad. But underneath of that, you are so addicted to the routine of starting over on Monday. It is intoxicating for you to start over on Monday. And when I say start over on Monday, it doesn't always mean literally Monday. It means next month. It means on the 1st. It means at the beginning of the year. It means at the beginning of the month, beginning of the week, right? But you are addicted to the idea of starting over on Monday because it's like this obsession. It's like this compulsive thing where I'm going to eat myself miserable till I can't breathe, until the food makes me want to vomit, until the thought of the food makes me want to be sick, so that I can, quote unquote, get it out of my system. And we all know that never works, because if it worked, we wouldn't keep repeating the cycle. There is no getting it all out of your system, right? But it's this idea of, I'm going to start over on Monday. I'm going to get rid of all the snacks. I'm going to stop eating at the fast food. I'm going to stop doing X, Y, and Z, and everything's going to be perfect. And that is so wrapped up in perfectionism and all or nothing thinking, which is such a big part of the problem, is the perfectionism around the way that you eat, the way that you lose weight. And so when you think about this addiction to the start over on Monday routine, the reason for that too is like, you don't have an identity outside of losing weight, because losing weight has been your driving force of how you feel successful. It's where your self-esteem comes from. It's where your confidence comes from. It's a fake confidence, right? It's a shaky form of self-esteem, because that's where you're gaining or gleaning all of your self-worth. And so if you don't have any identity outside of constantly losing weight, your subconscious is going to be like, oh my God, but we're at our almost weight. And if we keep losing and we're no longer at our almost weight and we're at our goal weight, what am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do with myself? I won't be able to start over on Monday anymore because I'll already be at my goal. So I want you to think about that, and think about how the ceremony, if you will, that you put yourself through with this start over on Monday, the getting it all out of your system. It's like you get high off of ordering all the food, going out to eat, gorging yourself till you can't breathe, and then be like, this is the last time. I'm never going to do it again. I'm never going to do it again. And then you start over on Monday and you got the pretty journal and the pretty pens and the fun apps and all. This is going to be the thing. This is going to be the thing that's going to fix me. Because you just keep looking for that thing. But in the meantime, you're missing what the actual work is that you need to be doing, which we're going to get into that. All right. So another thing kind of tied into this is that this is going to be another terminology in the Irresistible You world. You do not have an identity outside of the fat girl. And we call this the fat girl identity, the FGI. You do not have an identity outside of what it means to be the fat girl. Not about the weight. So the first thing I talked about was the addiction to the weight loss routine, the starting over on Monday. This is the identity of what it means to be the fat friend, to be the fat girl. You know what I'm talking. If you're listening to this podcast, if you know, you know. But you have made being the fat girl part of your entire personality. And so if that has become your identity, if that has become your personality, and you don't have an identity outside of that, that is going to dig up a lot of fear and anxiety about what it means. Because you're not just shedding the weight, you're shedding that personality, that version of you. And so we have to work on creating an identity outside of the fat girl, creating who we're actually supposed to be. We have to work on doing that as we're going down the scale, because if we don't, we're going to keep getting to the almost weight and we're going to somehow fuck it all up and start right back where we were. And sometimes we start back even further from where we started from the last time, right? So that's another piece of it. And shedding the fat girl identity, there are so many things that you have to work on. You have to learn how to create a relationship with yourself. You have to learn, almost like one of the things I talk about in the course is we talk about dating yourself and getting to know who you are, because you don't know who you actually are. Underneath of the weight, underneath of taking care of everyone else and deflecting from the problems, who are you? All right, so another way that you are sabotaging your weight loss is there is a fear of being seen, a fear of people noticing you. So for a lot of people, they keep themselves overweight. There's a lot of trauma that goes into that sometimes, not for everyone, but for some people, there's trauma around, well, if I just keep myself fat and insulated, no one's going to mess with me. No one's going to look at me. People won't find me attractive. These are the thoughts that we play in our head. And I shared this in other episodes where I do think, and I've noticed for myself as well, that as I've started to lose more weight, I don't feel as invisible in the stores by strangers and stuff like that, which can be very vulnerable and very scary. But I also think that it's not that you can be fat and overweight and be attractive, obviously. But I think a lot of it is not just the weight coming off. I think our attitude and our confidence changes, and that is what attracts people to us as well. Not just, but we've internalized it to think, oh, it's because I'm losing weight. It's also because you're changing your personality, you're changing your identity, you're changing your self-esteem, and people see that. They're attracted to confidence, right? So there's a fear of being seen, and that will keep you stuck where you are. And again, it's not like you wake up in the morning and go, I really want to stay fat. I don't want people to notice me. I don't want to be attractive. I don't want the opposite sex to look at me. We're not doing that on a conscious level. And that's why I'm talking about it, because I'm bringing this to your awareness. And then you can have these conversations with yourself to be like, I wonder if I think that way. Is this part of the problem? Like, do I have a fear of being seen? And one of the other fears is a fear of success. Everybody goes, oh, I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to fail. Trust me, you are not afraid to fail because you have mastered the art of failing. Said with all the love and respect, because I've been in your shoes, right? You know how to fail. We all know how to fail at weight loss. We are not afraid of failing again. We're not afraid of failing again. If we were afraid of failing again, we wouldn't keep going on the cycle of trying to start over on Monday. The reason you're getting stuck at your almost weight is actually the fear of success. Because success comes with a shit ton of responsibility. And that can be true for anything in life that you're trying to do. Making a lot of money sounds really good. It sounds really fun. It sounds like, oh, that's going to eliminate all my problems. And it will eliminate a lot of problems. But more money, more problems, honey, right? If you get to a certain level financially, you've got to maintain. It's the same thing with our weight. If we get to a certain weight that we've never been before, we have to maintain that weight, because doing what we've always done at our highest weight will not keep us. Number one, it's not going to get you down the scale. And when you get down the scale, you can't just revert back to those habits and think you're going to stay there. It comes with a grand amount of responsibility. And so people are terrified of success and what it means to be successful. And a lot of that too is like, you've always come at this from the desperate diet mindset. The desperate diet mindset of, I'm going to suffer my way down the scale with the most desperate diet eating plan I've ever seen in my life, because I just want to get down the scale as fast as possible. And when you do it that way, you are setting yourself up to fail, because you're not learning how to have an identity outside of weight loss. You're not learning how to gain self-awareness. You're not learning how to become anyone outside of the fat girl identity. You're just desperately dieting to get down the scale. So what? So you can see a number? So you can be like, oh, look at me, I weigh 150. Oh, look at me, I fit into a 10. Oh, look at me, I did it. But if you didn't gain the skills and the resources that you need as you go down the scale, you're going to go right back to where you were. And that's why you keep repeating the cycle. So there's a fear of being seen. There's a fear of success. And because of that, what do? You play small. One of the other things that will sabotage your weight loss efforts, change is hard. Like, can we just take a moment to acknowledge the change in the room? Change is hard. Even when we want it, even when we crave it, even when we want this thing more than any other thing in our life right now, change is hard. You are coming at this with a lifetime of things and habits that you have to change and unwind, correct? And this is not your fault, because our brains are literally hardwired to resist the change. And why is it hardwired that way? It was done that way from an evolutionary standpoint to keep us safe. Because back in the old days, if I do anything that's a change, it's going to put me in danger. And our brain, while it is, quite amazing and do all these cool things, it hasn't quite evolved to understand the difference between a real saber-toothed tiger and a paper tiger. I have an episode, I cannot remember what number it is. You could go on the search bar within the podcast and find it. Just type in tiger. But I have a podcast about paper tigers and real tigers and how they're no different in our brain. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that if I'm being chased by a tiger, I'm going to go into fight or flight mode. I'm going into survival mode. I'm going to have to figure out, like, I'm either going to run for my life or I'm going to freeze and stay there and get eaten alive. And our brains don't understand the difference when we have any type of thing that is a big change that is scary, right, going on in our life. Our brain still reacts in the same fight or flight mode. So we have to recognize that we're not broken, that it's not just us. Our brain is trying to protect us and keep us safe, because our brain, all it knows is you've always been the fat girl. starting over on Monday gives you comfort. It makes you feel like, it's like this obsessive thing. It makes you feel safe and secure because it's what you know. So I'm going to go ahead and keep us safe, right? So change is hard and change is painful, but you have to go through the change in order to get to the other side where it's going to be even more safe for you, right? Think about that. I'm being chased by a tiger. It's really hard to run. I'm scared. I'm terrified. I don't want to run. But if I keep running and I leap over the ditch, I'm imagining some kind of ditch. I don't know why. Like the tiger can't cross the ditch. All right, I'm going to reach the other side. And that hard thing that I was running away from is gone. It could still be lurking around. So I still have to be, aware that this could still be an issue. But I'm on this other side now and I feel safe. But I had to go through that in order to get to this side. I want you to think about a swimming pool. So we're still like in the dead of winter, but spring is like peeking around the corner here, right? I say this as today it was like snowing outside in Virginia Beach, but we've had some little pockets of spring weather coming in, and I was like, oh shoot, I need to call my or email my pool people, because if I don't get on their calendar, we're not going to be getting our pool open on time. And so I'm like, usually around April, early May, we start to open our pool. But it can be hot outside, but that water that's why we open it usually early in April, so that it has a couple months to like get the sun rays going in there. But I want you to think about when you jump in a pool and that water is cold, right? You get in the water and the water is cold and you want to get out of the pool because you're cold. You're kind of feeling a little miserable, right? But staying in the water actually feels more comfortable than that moment of having to get out and run across the deck and get your towel. You know what I'm saying? So you are just like from the neck down in the water, just, you've got goosebumps, you're shivering, but it doesn't feel as cold as getting out of the water to go run to get the towel. You're just thinking, I want to get out of here so bad. I want this more than anything to just get warm. We're making an analogy to our weight loss, okay? And so we know that in order to get truly warm and comfortable, we have to get out of this pool, and we're going to be super uncomfortable for a couple minutes. It's going to be painful. It is going to be miserable, right? But in order to go get that warm towel and get myself feeling better, I've got to make the change. That is the same thing in your weight loss. You want to be comfortable so bad, but in order to get there, there's going to be some moments in between that aren't going to feel good. So what are you going to do? You have two choices. One, you're either going to stay in the pool, you're going to stay cold, you're going to stay with the goosebumps, you're going to stay miserable, right? And that misery will continue as long as you stay in the pool. That misery of being overweight is going to feel that way as long as you stay overweight and don't make changes. But if I could just push myself to get out, yes, it's not going to feel good. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be cold. It's going to be miserable. But that will be so short-lived compared to staying where I am. Because I'll get out for a minute. It's going to be cold when the air hits my skin. And maybe sometimes you just raise your arm out of the water like, nope, not doing that today. It's too cold, not doing it. It's the same thing with weight loss. We have to go through the change. And that change will not always be a pleasant experience. But on the other side of that, wrapped up in the warm towel, tucked away from the scary tiger, is the life that we crave. Is the life that we deserve. And what we're chasing after is not the number on the scale. We're chasing after the life that we crave. What we think weight loss means. That we think we're going to automatically love ourselves. We're going to automatically just like have all the skills and the personality things that we want just because we lose the weight, and that's not the case. Those things will happen because you become self-aware, because you stop zombie walking, because you work on the relationship with yourself, because you come up with a new identity, because you get over your fears of being seen, your fears of success, and all of those things. Because it's not the weight that you're craving to come off, it's the lifestyle that you think is going to happen just because you lose the weight. Losing weight is awesome. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. You're going to physically be better. But if you don't also work on the mental and the emotional weight as well, what's going to happen is you're going to just keep getting stuck at your almost weight. You're going to be at your almost weight. You're going to be at your almost weight. And you're going to just keep going through the hamster wheel and never getting the life that you truly deserve. Okay? So, change is hard, right? And I think I kind of mentioned this already, but it's like because you're only focusing on that surface level weight loss, that's another reason for it too. You have to also work on losing the emotional weight. You have to deal with your shit. You got to get out of delusion. You've got to get out of denial. Just focusing on the latest, greatest diet or keto plan or whatever the hell the trend of the week is, the fasting, don't even get me started on that. That's not the problem. You know how to lose weight. You know how to do it. But it's your emotions, your emotional weight, which is going to keep holding you back every single time. And self-sabotage is so wrapped up in the emotions and the feelings that you have about yourself that if you don't learn how to lose the emotional weight, you will keep self-sabotaging. And then lastly, you lack the self-worth that's needed for change. You lack the self-worth because you don't feel worthy of creating the life you crave. You think about that lifestyle. You think about what you could be, what you could have. And you think, no, I could never have that. That's not for me. That's for those other people. I could never be that small. That's for other people. I could never be someone who's athletic. That's for other people. I could never run in a 5K. That's for other people. Listen, I was the little fat kid in school who always failed the presidential fitness test. I always failed the mile. We had to run a mile out on the track. I always failed it. I dreaded going to PE class. I hated it with every fiber of my being. Okay? I was not a runner. I thought it hurt. I thought it was awful. I just didn't want to do it. And it's been a few years. It's been a while now, actually. It's been, oh my God, I can't even believe how many years it's been. But I've run a couple of 5Ks. I've actually got my medals right here in my office. I'm looking at them right now because I'm proud of those because I was never someone who was going to go and run. I may not be the fastest, but I did it. And I've done it multiple times. But you got to get over that I'm not that type of person. I will never be able to ... right? So if you don't feel worthy of becoming who you crave, it goes back to you saying, I want this so bad. I just want to do this. I want this more than anything. So what's wrong with me? Then you got to start believing in you. You got to start working on creating self-worth because self-worth isn't going to show up because you decided I'm starting over on Monday. That is the most entitled shit I've ever heard of. You think because you made a decision to start over on Monday that all of a sudden you're going to just have the confidence, the self-worth, the self-esteem to just do everything you need to do when you've never done the work that needs to be done. The only work that you've done is being obsessed about the latest diet plan, the latest whatever, the latest workout, the latest this. That is such a small piece of this puzzle. No one that listens to this podcast needs to be told how to lose weight from a food standpoint. I'm never going to teach that shit. That's not the problem. The problem is you need to lose the emotional weight. You need to lose the perfectionism. You need to lose the all or nothing thinking. You need to lose the zombie walking. You need to lose the fear of being seen. You need to lose the fear of success. You need to lose the self-sabotaging. Because if you don't lose those things, you will never lose your weight and keep it off. You will always get to your almost weight and almost. That's it, period. You will never get to where you want to go. So if you want to change your life, it is not about, I've got to lose 50 pounds. Like, that is such a small piece of what we're talking about. You have to stop setting yourself up to fail over and over again, because the only thing that gives you purpose in your life right now is the starting over on Monday. You are better than that. You are bigger than that. And you are capable of so much more than only having a purpose and starting over on Monday. That is not your goal in life. That is not your purpose. Weight loss is not your biggest mission in life. Weight loss is not your life's work. It is hard as fuck. It is challenging. It is not easy. It makes you want to cry sometimes. It is one of the hardest things you will ever do, but it is not your life's work to lose weight. You are worth so much more than the number on the scale, and you are capable of so much more than quote unquote just weight loss. You have a bigger purpose. You were put here on this earth for so much more than just being a success at weight loss. So you got to stop tying up all your self-worth into, I'm a piece of shit. I will never amount to anything. I can't do this. I'm a fat, dumb bitch because I can't lose weight. You have to stop that inner fat bitch chatter from sabotaging you, because it's not just sabotaging the weight loss journey. It is sabotaging the life that you deserve to have. It is sabotaging the years on your life. And here's a news flash. You're not getting these years back once you get skinny. It's not like all of a sudden you got your shit together and you lost the weight, you lost the emotional weight, and you all of a sudden get the years back. Honey, the years are gone. That's a harsh reality that you have to face. And every moment and day that you spend pissed off, beating yourself up, obsessing about weight is another day gone that you could have been spending doing something else. How many more times are you going to sit your ass on the sidelines? Are you going to tell your kids no? Are you going to tell your husband no? Are you going to tell your people no because you don't want to be seen? I don't want to be seen in a bathing suit. Get your fat ass out there, girl. Like, do it fat. Do it now. Don't wait for the wait. You have to do it now, down the scale, because that's how you build confidence. If I can build confidence at 270 pounds, you damn right I'm going to have it at 170 pounds. You got to get your butt out there and do it. And getting yourself out there at your biggest weight, rolls, cellulite, and all in all its glory, okay? When you can do it at that size, just think about how you're going to feel when you're smaller. Because you're building the mental and emotional muscle. You can't just work on muscles at the gym. You can't just work on getting a big ass and some big glutes at the gym and working on the stomach and working on the arms. You have to build muscle emotionally and mentally, or you will always come back to your almost weight. Or you will get stuck at your almost weight. You will self-sabotage yourself, gain all the weight back, and then go, how did that happen? Like you've got amnesia. You just woke up one morning with amnesia. Stop waiting on the weight. Stop waiting on the weight. You got to work with what you have right now and stop desperate dieting yourself down the scale. I want to take you by the shoulders and shake you till you understand what I'm saying right now. You need to understand how important this is. You need to understand how critical this is and how time is ticking by every single second of the day. You have to understand that you won't get this time back. This time in your life, I want you to look around. How old are you? How old are your kids? How old is your family? What's going on in your job? This right here, right now, when it's gone, it's gone. And I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to paralyze you with fear. I want to light a fire under your ass so that you start waking up and you stop zombie walking and you stop self-sabotaging and you get out there and you make the life you deserve. Because every single one of you listening has a version of yourself that you fantasize about, and then you have the real you. And there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. It's not the same person. So what do you have to do to bridge the disconnect? Weight loss is going to make you feel better? Abso-freaking-lutely it will. Yes. It's going to help you tremendously with your health, with your self-esteem, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle. You have to also lose the mental and emotional weight with the physical weight. Period. End of story. And that's all I got. Nothing else to say. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it there. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. I hope there were some nuggets that you could take away from this and apply to your life. And I hope if you were asleep when you started watching this, I hope you're awake now. And I hope you see how critical and important it is to get up and do something and make a change and put a wrench into that hamster wheel and make it stop spinning. If you want to take further action and you want to dig even deeper into the Irresistible You framework and have a set of tools to help you lose the emotional weight, then I encourage you to snag your seat in the Irresistible You course. And I can now say with some confidence, the Irresistible You course and private podcast. I am almost ready to launch. It is so exciting. So if you like listening to podcasts right here on the free podcast, this is going to also give you the entire course broken out into podcast episodes. And for those of you listening that are my current students that have either gone through my group coaching program or are currently enrolled in the self-study program, you will all be getting access to the private podcast as soon as it launches because you're already a student. So for those of you that are not a student, please grab your seat. You do not want to miss this. This is going to be the missing piece to your puzzle. And if you love the podcast, I would love for you to show some support by leaving a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts. That helps so much. If you would like to contribute to the podcast financially, you can also leave me a cup of coffee, and that helps me keep up with all the maintenance that is required behind the scenes to keep this thing going. So on that note, I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.